Hello and welcome to Sportspage. I am Brad Hadank. In this program, I will sit down with various University of Central Missouri athletes, coaches, and supporting staff. These individuals help make Mules and Jenny's athletics a success. Today, Mules basketball joins the show. This is Sportspage. Our first guest today is Mules basketball head coach Adam Bohac. Coach Bohac is in season number 3 as head coach for the Mules. He led the Mules to the MIAA tournament last season, picked up the Mules' first MIAA tournament win since the 2017-2018 season. The momentum has continued this season as the Mules took down the number 10 team in the nation at the time, the Colorado School of Mines. So Coach Bohac, welcome to Sportspage.
Awesome. Thanks, Brad.
You've had a lot of success since last time I saw you, picking up that win in the MIAA tournament. Could you just take me through how much that means to this program?
Yeah, I thought, the finish to last year was kind of logical next step, if you will, following our first season, qualifying for the MIAA postseason and then winning a game in the conference tournament. And I don't want to go step by step. I want to skip some steps. I'm kind of impatient, but certainly that gave us something to build off and an experience for our returners that can be a little wind in their sails and a little confidence heading into this year.
What was something about that team last season that you really enjoyed about the group?
Yeah, I thought, we had some resiliency, right? There for a long stretch of the season, we had never lost 2 games in a row and had never won 2 games in a row. And so we began to create an identity to do the next right thing and kind of get back on the horse the times that it hadn't gone right. And I think some of those seeds that were planted have carried over with our returning guys, and it gave us kind of a great launching point into this season.
Last season you finished with a record of 15-15 overall. How do you build on that this season?
Yeah, you just got to get better, right? And so it starts with guys. It always starts with people. And we returned 4 outstanding guys, really good players. And I think they've all improved individually. And then when you have good people, it attracts other good people. And we added some really good players, but even more importantly, some awesome guys to our locker room. And so it starts with people, and I feel really strong about how good our roster is and how good the people are in our program.
Yeah, take me through adding 9 new guys. How do you integrate that many guys into a program like Mules basketball?
Yeah, you know what? It was Coach Mahoney kind of led our recruiting efforts, and then Coach Wilson came on board in the summer and has been an outstanding addition, but they kind of head that up. But what was maybe most unique about this class was, again, I mentioned those 4 returners we had on campus, so every potential recruit, when they come to visit, they get a real feel for what our locker room's like. And Tilley and Jake and Kyrie and Noah, our 4 returners, do such an outstanding job of representing the program that the guys we were taking in kind of knew what they were getting. And so I think good people attract good people, good kids attract good kids, and so we were able to sign the right guys because we had the right guys returning in our locker room.
I want to ask you about one of those new faces, a freshman, Lazarick Houston. Early on, he had the number 5 play in SportsCenter's top 10. He dunked on some guys, is what he did. As a coach, in that moment, can you sit there and be like, that was pretty cool, or is it get back on defense?
Yeah, the play was outstanding, and credit UCM and our sports information department, our athletic department, for making certain that play got highlighted and made its way to ESPN. I'm not certain how all that works. And then Mule Nation for liking it and retweeting it and all the things. But we had seen Zarek do plays like that in practice. And so while it was super impressive and awesome, I guess it didn't shock me because you see him do some crazy stuff oftentimes in practice.
And there's some coaches, the philosophy is, well, just make the layup in this situation. What is it there? Because that's a big energizer when a guy does that as opposed to just laying it in.
Yeah, you watch that play back, and I never thought about it like that, Brad, but you probably couldn't lay that ball in. I mean, there was a guy right here and another guy coming across, and I certainly couldn't have done that, but probably the only way to make that basket is to stick it on the guy's head, and he did.
One of the big contrasts from this season to last season is the defensive side. Last year you had a Fort Hays State game where you took it by the final of 41-31 in one of the lowest scoring games I've ever seen. Credit to your defense there. This season you take on the number 10 team in the nation, Colorado School of Mines, win 96-84. What's the big difference?
Yeah, you know, the saying "it takes two to tango" is a little bit of it. You know, Fort Hays is outstanding defensively. They're back and set every time. And so to get a good shot against them, oftentimes you can't do it in the first 5 or 6 seconds of the shot clock. It takes a while to break them down. Colorado Mines plays a different defensive style. They pick you up 94 feet and are kind of chasing after you and putting 2 on the ball the whole game. And so that game's kind of played in an open floor and a broken floor. And so just, I'd say the style of the games and the opponent is a big reason the possessions are way up in the Mines game. So, you know, just logic, if the possessions are up, you're going to score more points. If the possessions are down, typically you're going to score fewer points. And so it's a little bit about points per game, but where we've grown, Brad, offensively is we're so much more efficient. And I think you always want to play a style that highlights your best players and plays to their strength. And you know, I know you're going to visit with Kyran, and he's fast, and he's one of our best guys. And so we want to play fast. And several of our other guys are fast, and they're able to play quick. And so, you know, our style is a little bit faster because we have faster guys. Where, you know, that's no knock on last year's roster, but our strength last year was certainly not going fast.
And you talked about going fast this season. Is that one of the big strengths you've liked from this team? Is there something else you've really liked this year?
Yeah. You know, physically we're fast, but what I like most about this group is our togetherness, our spirit, our willingness to help one another. And I think those are things that you lay over the top of style, and they're way more important. And so this team's going to keep getting better and better and better. I'm so thankful for our administration that we got to start with those early season games in Montana. Very few teams get to do that. And that was a little bit like taking the test before you ever get the materials for the course. I mean, 3 games in 3 days with a brand new team really helps us to grow, really let us see what we have, and now we have a little more time to practice. Kind of get our feet under us, and I think can really chart a course and really take some big steps moving forward.
And I know the season is just underway. You're talking about ways to grow. What are some big ways you want to see this team improve as the season moves on?
Yeah, we have to become more physical. I think the very best teams, there's just a physicalness to them, a toughness to them. And we're playing some young guys, and that's a hard thing to teach without experiencing it. And frankly, our practices haven't been physical enough for us to grow in that. So the games have been more physical than our practices. So that's helped us become more physical. But as we move forward, if you could say one thing you want to wave the magic wand and be better at, we'd be more physical.
So does that start in practice, having more physical practices, or do you want to stay away from that as a safety thing or something?
No, we want our practices to be physical. I think iron sharpens iron, and if each guy gets a little bit more physical, well, then your practice is more physical, and now as a group you're much more physical. And you know, that carries over on the backboards. It carries over to how you run offense, how you drive a basketball. If you're seeking contact and going through someone's hip and finishing through their face, or if you're kind of avoiding it, and we want to be the aggressor on all those things, and we can be, and we will be, and we're becoming better at it. But again, that's the thing that I'm anxious to improve the most.
And something else that is about to happen just on the campus of the University of Central Missouri: Thanksgiving break and then Christmas break. So most students are going to leave. It'll be a quieter campus. How does it look for your basketball team over those breaks?
Yeah, you know, basketball, I'm smiling as you ask the question. Basketball is the one sport you don't get any of the breaks. Fall break is right when you're firing up practice, and so that means you can have 2-a-days if you're a basketball player because you don't have class. Thanksgiving break, you know, we'll get Thanksgiving Day off, but we'll have a couple Thanksgiving celebrations as a team. We'll be together for Thanksgiving, obviously. Christmas break, you get a few days at Christmas, but then if you have a good basketball team, you don't get spring break either. You want to be in the postseason, and so that's just kind of part of the deal, and part of what it means to play college basketball is Usually when there's a university break, it just means you're able to practice more or longer because we don't have class.
Do you see a difference in the home games when the campus is quieter and students are gone?
Yeah. I mean, the students are the X factor at home games. We had a couple theme nights last year, and I can't even recall what they were, but boy, when the students are in there, it makes such a difference. And you know, when we play on the road, we play in some awesome venues in the MIAA and some places that really have support from their students, and it makes it tough. That's a serious home court advantage when we have our students in there and the place is rocking. And you know, the home opener this week, I think people will really enjoy watching these guys play. And they're the kind of guys that you can get behind and support because they're such good guys. They play a fun style, they play hard, they love one another. And so I can't wait for people to see this year's team, and I think it'll create even a better atmosphere as the season goes along in the Hughes, the more people that are able to see them play.
And you mentioned playing in the MIAA. You used to coach at Southern Nazarene, which is the Great American Conference. You've seen some different conferences in Division II. How do you see the MIAA stacking up?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a tremendous basketball league. You know, and this season in particular, you look at how the MIAA performed opening weekend, which is where you play crossover games against other teams in your region, and the MIAA came out by far the strongest. So better than the Northern Sun, better than the Great American Conference thus far, early in the season, but off to a tremendous start. And so you're playing in the best region in the country, and then this season it appears you're playing in the best conference, in the best region, which you logically draw that out. So you're playing in the best league in America. And so it's every night. It's a really good coach on the other sideline with really good players. We mentioned the venues. You're playing in outstanding venues with outstanding home crowds. So it's a great league to be a part of. It's a lot of fun because it's such a challenge each night.
And you mentioned the fun and how much fun you think people will have watching this Mules basketball team play. If there's someone out there who's thinking about coming to a game or doesn't know much about this Mules program, what would you want them to know?
Yeah, gosh, I would just love for them to meet the guys, Brad, because I think, boy, if you spend any time with the guys on our roster, you can't help but be impressed with just how fun they are, what good guys they are, and then when you watch them play, you know, you can tell they love one another by how they play and how they guard and how they help one another and how we play offense. And so, boy, I think when things are at a high level in basketball, there's not a better representation of maybe how all of us should work together, either as a campus community or, you know, you take it all the way out as a world. That's kind of how these guys play. And so it's a privilege to get to be their coach. I think people will really enjoy watching them play.
Well, Coach Bohac, we thank you for joining the show today.
Awesome. Thanks, Brad.
We will take a quick break. When we come back, we will meet Mules sophomore Kyran Tilley. Sportspage returns right after this. Welcome back to Sportspage. In this next segment, we will be joined by Mules basketball sophomore Kyran Tilley. Kyran is a native of Louisville, Kentucky, and was the MIAA Freshman of the Year last season. That is the first time in program history that a Mule has picked up that accolade. Kyran, welcome to Sportspage.
Welcome.
No, thanks for being here today, but I want to set the record straight. I said Louisville, Kentucky. How do you say it?
Louisville.
Louisville.
With the Lul.
Louisville.
Like, yes.
Okay.
Like, you got to make the O and the U really dominant in there.
I'll have to work on it.
Yeah.
So another thing I've noticed, a new haircut this season?
Yeah.
What's behind that?
Oh, you know, it was just time for the dreads to go. It was a 3.5, maybe 4-year journey with them, so a lot of memories with them. It was just that time, restart, just complete restart on them. So.
Yeah, but last season with that haircut, you did find a lot of success. MIAA Freshman of the Year, first time in Mules program history that a player has gotten that accolade. How important was that, or how awesome was it to get that award?
You know, just being here and it being the first time ever in history, it was honestly super important for me. Super important for me to even get that award in the first place, but for it being the first time in history for a school, that kind of just means something different, you know, more special, I guess I would say.
What was going so well for you playing-wise that found so much success?
Really just trusting in what my Coach Bohac, like him trusting in me and him knowing that I can go out there as a freshman and really compete with 24, 25, some 26-year-olds. So it was really just a confidence. Even the team gave me a lot of confidence. And so, yeah, that was a big part of that.
Is there anything from last season that you're really looking to improve on or you have improved on for this season?
I would say leadership, for sure. Being a freshman, you can be a leader to some extent. But when you have older guys on the team that just think a certain way, it's kind of hard to really be like the leader on the team. So this year, just really filling that role of being a leader, and because now we have freshmen this year, so now I have people that are younger than me and that I can really mentor and help them see the game the way I do.
Yeah, you mentioned that there's only 4 returners this year, 9 new faces to Mules basketball, either freshmen or transfers. What has that change been like for this squad?
It's honestly been a great change. Everybody that's came in has great attitude for the most part. We all really connect with each other on the basketball court and off the basketball court. The chemistry's just been really good, and as we practiced and played games, it's just gotten better and better.
This team has had a lot of differences from last season. I remember the Fort Hays State game at home. The final score was 41-31, just a defensive battle, a rock fight, if you will.
Yeah.
Go to this season, first game, 96-84 against the number 10 team in the nation.
Yeah.
What's been the big change?
Pace in the game. Running offense quicker, getting the ball up the floor quicker when we get defensive stops, when they score, just getting the ball out faster, just pace and not maybe running a set every time on offense every time. Getting past half court and setting something up. Maybe not that, just we're playing and we're running. And so, yeah, just pace. That's the big difference this year.
And last season, Mules basketball made it to the MIAA basketball championships, the Municipal Auditorium in Kansas City. Picked up a win there, 10-point win over Northeastern State, the first win in that tournament since the 2017-2018 season. How important was it to find that success in the tournament, then to build on that into this year?
Really big, because now we know we can do it, even if it's with a different group of guys. You know, like we don't maybe see that. Last year's group really is any different than us, in that we can do the same thing, if not be a lot better at it. Yeah.
Yeah, you ended up picking up the MIAA Freshman of the Year last year again. You had a great season. I want to look prior to UCM. What made you make the decision to come to Warrensburg from Louisville, Kentucky?
So it's this world is all about connections, and so. There was a guy on my team, and his dad was super cool with an assistant on our coaching staff, no longer here, but great guy, and he's how I got here. So it's a super small world, and so when I came here, I just knew like it was for me. So
yeah.
Yeah.
You talk about those connections. Have there been any big mentors for you, either during your time here or prior?
Mentors, I would say maybe the biggest one, me being here so far, is probably Coach Bohac, honestly. I mean, we talk a decent amount, so just him being the head coach is probably my #1 mentor.
And talk me through Coach Bohac as a head coach. Is he a different play style than what you've seen in the past? Is it similar? Are there big differences with Coach Bohac?
I mean, he's definitely one of the more intense coaches, but that is 100% fine. Like, I need that a lot. And not saying my high school coach wasn't intense, because he really was. But Coach Bohac just it's college, it's different. Like, there's stuff on the line. And so, yeah, Coach Bohac is super intense, but we need that as a team.
Yeah, and Mules basketball has a history of coaches. I don't know if you know Fogg Allen in the past, Kim Anderson. There's a big history there, and it's led to Mules basketball being the second winningest program in NCAA Division II history. How special is it to play for a program like UCM?
Super special. We got to get back there. We got to we gotta pick it back up, and we gotta be the second most or first most winning team in college, you know. So, but it's really special. And Kim Anderson, he comes around a lot, and so he gives us information that we need and stuff like that. So that's really good as well. I love that guy. But yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask you about a normal game day. So go to the Jerry M. Hughes Athletic Center in Warrensburg. What does it look like for you? How early are you getting there? Let's start with that.
Usually we'll have shoot around. I couldn't really tell you the specific time of shoot around, but it's our Coach Bohac has it mapped out like 7 hours before the game, or yeah, something like that. And then we'll get to the gym maybe if the game's at 6 or 7 or something like that. I didn't mean to do that. We'll probably have shoot around at like 11 or something like that, and then eat pregame meal like 4 hours before the game. And so the earliest we get there is like 11, something like that.
Yeah, and I have to acknowledge what you just did, because some people may not know the 6-7 trend that's going on in 2025. Has that made its way onto the Mules basketball locker room team?
Brother. Yes, sir, it has. I feel like it's made its way everywhere in this world. It's kind of gotten to the point to where it kind of annoys me, but it's everywhere. So it's like you just got to deal with it, you know.
And that started with LaMelo Ball. Am I right on that? Do you know?
It started with LaMelo Ball?
I could just have made that up.
Okay, so let me tell you the real lore behind it. So and I actually played him in high school, and we call it the All-A State Championship. His name's Taylon Kenny, and I guess he was there's a basketball league called OTE. And they like record a lot. They record, and I guess he was saying that in an interview or something, because he's a really good player. And he was saying that in an interview, and it blew up from there.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you have a first-hand connection to the trend.
Yeah, sort of, kind of. Yeah.
So we talked about some NBA players. Is there any player that you've tried to emulate in your game growing up that's been a big influence?
Growing up, for sure, Kemba Walker. Now people, they always say he's not in the league anymore, but they would always say he's washed at the end of his career, and it always really hurt me because he was such a great player. But yeah, Kemba Walker was my guy growing up.
I want to get back to this season for a second. You recently put up a career-high 24 points versus Sioux Falls. What was working for you in that performance?
You know, just being aggressive offensively, attacking them off the screens, because sometimes they would switch, sometimes they'd drop. So just never letting them know, like, what I'm going to do next. And, yeah, just being super aggressive offensively, and honestly defensively too. Just playing super hard, and that got the offensive game going.
Yeah, and right now in the season, you're in your non-conference part of the schedule. You're about to get into MIAA play. Is there any big emphasis during these non-con games before you get into the MIAA, which is a tough conference?
Well, we just played 2 Northern Sun teams, so I would say they're pretty on par with the MIAA as far as talent-wise. So I would say they got us a little prepared. We definitely got our butts kicked on Friday's game, but Saturday we came back and we showed what we can do, but we still have a lot more in us.
So you talked about that adversity, getting knocked down and coming right back. What's behind that to have the drive to come back and bounce back from a big loss?
Spirit. You gotta have a spirit, and you just gotta know that it was a bad game. Coach Bohac always says this: it was a bad game, but it doesn't mean we're a bad team. And if you make a bad play, it doesn't mean you're a bad player. So we're just having that in mind and coming out and doing us. Yeah,
looking at Coach Bohac, do you have any big themes this season? I know Coach Lamberson football, it's epic. Every person impacts culture. Is there anything like that? Any overarching themes this year for Mules basketball?
We family. Forget about me. I love you. That's always been our theme, at least since I've been here. We have it written super big across the locker room, so everybody follows that. Forget about me. I love you. Don't worry about yourself. fight for your team, like love your team, and do it for your team. So.
And we've talked about it, but this season for Mules basketball, there's a lot of new faces. If there's someone out there who doesn't know a lot about this team, this program, is there one thing you may want them to know about Mules basketball?
And I don't want to go back on the last question, but I would say family. Yeah. Honestly, like it's super important. I don't think anything would be bigger than family. Because I mean, if guys aren't together and they're not playing for each other, then it's not going to go well. Like you can't do everything by yourself. So it would be family for sure. Well,
Kyran, we've run out of time, but thank you for joining the show today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on.
That's all of the time we have for this episode. I'd like to thank our guests, Coach Adam Bohac and Kyran Tilley, for joining me today. Also a big thank you to Nolan Baker, who directed this episode. He is a graduating senior at the end of this semester. He's poured so much time into KMOS PBS, so we thank him for all of his time here with KMOS TV. As for me, my name is Brad Hadank, and thank you for watching Sports Page.